Yeah, that's right. It's Joe here for Joyrider TV, and we're into some more quick tips for catamaran sailors. So let's get amongst it. Okay, for our first tip, well, it's not really a tip, it's more of something that was left out of the which rope where video, is the Capsize righting line. For your Hobie 16, this is what comes as standard. This is a 12mm polyester core rope with a soft, durable outer. This is the sort of thing you want. You could use a thinner rope if you wanted, so I'd say you could go as low as 10mm on the rope here, depends what your hands can handle. And on a 16, this is 4.5 meters. So here on the Tiger, our righting line is 7 meters long, but it is worth experimenting with the rope length to make sure you're not carrying more rope than what you need. And then we put knots in the Capsize righting line, which means you can hook your trapeze into the rope and onto the knot, which means you don't have to use your arms as much. Okay, for our next tip, we're just going to look at the jib traveller lines on the Hobie 16. So the jib travellers can be used for either wind strength or point of sail. As a general word of advice, the jib travellers should be a little bit further out than the mainsail traveller at all time. So if the mainsail traveller is halfway out, the jib traveller should be out a little bit more. So the jib is always a little bit more open than the mainsail. And then when it gets windy, so you're double trapezing constantly, the jib traveller can be all the way out all the time to make sure you're not backwinding the mainsail. So routing the jib traveller, it will come from the opposite side of the boat across the trampoline, and then what we do is we use a hole in the trampoline to tie it off neatly like this. If you don't happen to have this hole in your trampoline, then you could just tie it off around the shroud like this, and that would have exactly the same effect, although perhaps not quite as tidy. Okay, have you ever had a sticky mainsail on your 16 or any other type of boat for that matter? Then what you can do is the following. If you get up a little bit, and then before you actually pull the sail up, push it up a bit first. So pull the bolt rope into the mast track, push it up, and then take up the slack on the halyard, and then repeat. It is of course easier if you have someone else pulling the halyard rather than having to do a bit of hand wrapping. Now I've got to a stage where I've run out of halyard, so I'm gonna have to get on the floor, making it slightly more difficult. Another thing that can make it a bit easier would be just washing the bolt rope first so that it's wet. But the main thing is we're pushing the sail up first and then taking up the slack on the halyard. Nearly there. One last little bit, and then we've reached the top. And then it's at the top. So just to recap on locking it in, we'll keep the tension on the halyard. We'll walk the halyard into the middle of the mast, pull the sail down, that's locked in. And then here's the next tip. To make it less likely that your halyard will catch on the jib battens, if we take the halyard around the back of the trapeze wires and the shroud, then that puts the halyard just a little bit further back, making it less likely for it to catch. Thank you very much. So there we go. I hope that has been quite useful for you, perhaps even informative, mildly entertaining, but hopefully there's something there that you can use with your boat. If you have any questions about other points with your catamaran sailing, just stick it in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and thanks again to everybody who has been supporting the channel, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.